Solomon, when he was writing in the Proverbs, it's always like, let me say it. There was a way that he ended up writing about it, and he had the contrast in his writing. And so I was thinking about how he constantly went through the ideas of, well, you see both foolishness and wisdom, but also what you see is righteousness and wickedness. Now, I was listening to the idea of the Benani, and it was the idea that you had both three different types. One was the truly righteous, or the Zadi. You had the Rashi, or the wicked man, and then you had the Benani. There was a benign, if you will. But this was an intermediate state where it was, the Benani ended up living his life in a manner that it was, that if he even had one sin in his life, it kept him from being that Tzaddik. And it was the idea of the perception of the way that they thought. And so it was to say that Benani ended up actually being able to have a different way of thinking about things, where sin would actually come into his mind, but he wouldn't take action on it. This was the way of looking at the difference between them. Whereas you had different levels. And so it was, there was the truly Zadik, and then there was the one who was mostly righteous, but still had some part of his life that needed perfection, or there was the same with the Rashi, where you'd have someone that was completely wicked, or in part. But the idea with the Benani was that he did everything within his life to be able to live life in a way that was righteous. And so it would be as though, it was the parallel that I heard the rabbi speak about was the way that he would end up using, it was recovery, for instance. It was that you'd already sinned, but you were doing everything in your life to be able to change that. But in that moment, what it was is it allowed for the Rashi to be able to have the traits of the Zadik, the traits of the righteous. Now there's promises, biblical promises throughout the text. And what we end up looking at is you actually be able to see how it is that within that, what happens is that the Zadik, the righteous man, is actually giving a different amount of blessings. And so what you have is that there's promises that are given to the Zadik, whereas the promises that are given to the Rashi are for destruction. You end up having for the Zadik actually blessings, preservation, prosperity, joy, love, peace, patience, kindness, all of the fruits of the Spirit. And not only all of them, but also all of them in abundance. So it is that as you end up looking at this, what you find is that when you're in the middle, you receive a bit of both. But when you end up having that truly Zadik lifestyle, then it allows you to receive all of those blessings. So I come back to that on Solomon. The reason he mentions this is that he actually received a bit of both. And actually, you find it within Kohelet. When he talks about it in the Ecclesiastes, it actually doesn't say Solomon. It says the preacher. It's the word for Kohelet. And it shows how he went and he experimented in both. He was both the Zadi and he was the Rashi. This was the idea of the Benani. It was that middle ground that had both of them. And so, when you look at that, you're able to see how it is that if you want to be able to receive the blessings of this world, make your goal righteousness. Go towards God and be able to receive that. And realize that if you live that life, it's the Rashi, that you're going to have to pay for that there's hardships that come with it, that you lose a portion of that peace. You have a payment. Meditate on God's righteousness. Day and night, meditate on His Word and be able to have the joy of God about you so that you can receive that and be able to live in a different manner so that you're able to receive His blessings. This is Rev Kasey Carroll in Barcelona. I'll see you.